When we look at all the problems of the world, and I'm mostly referring to the human-made problems of the world, it's so easy to feel like a helpless victim, to feel like I just want to get out of this madhouse, this insanity. It just seems like so many people, well, we won't even go in the whole litany. There's an idea in the metaphysical world that we chose to be here, that we signed a contract to incarnate at this time, in this world, chose our parents, chose everything. Now, of course, the objection to that is you look at some of the horrendous things that happen and you go, why would anyone choose that? Why would you choose to be a child so horribly treated and abused, or any of the other things? The answer that's usually given is one of two. Either you've chosen to sacrifice yourself to teach the world lessons, and you'll get karmic brownie points for this in some future life, or else you're learning lessons that you might not learn otherwise. I still find it very difficult to understand, but I'm just saying that's what I've seen out there, and I intuitively feel it to be true, although with metaphysical things, how can you prove that, at least in the tangible way that most people consider proof? But that puts a whole different perspective on things. If we really did choose to be here, and the truth is we can look through all of history and there are always all kinds of problems and horrible things that can happen to people. But if we really did choose to be here, and we're not just helpless victims of the situation, then we have to acknowledge that we chose it for a reason. There's a good chance that reason is about learning certain lessons, difficult as that may be. And so rather than just complaining or feeling frustrated or angry or helpless or despairing, maybe we need to really look and go, what can I do better here? How can I react better? Responsibility. Maybe we can't control the actual events, but what about our responses to it? And to bring in another metaphysical idea, there's the idea that all human consciousness is in a sort of big psychic soup, and that our moods, our beliefs, our energy really affects everyone else. And so what energy are we putting into the world? Not what we're doing, not what we're saying. I'm not talking about in actual physical actions or words, but our energy and our thoughts especially. What are we putting into the world? And maybe that's a lot of our learning. I'm always very impressed in reading about the Dalai Lama and some of the Tibetan monks. And I remember reading about one Tibetan monk who had been in a Chinese prison camp for 10 years and treated horribly, and got out. And the Dalai Lama always interviews people when they get out of there, and out of Tibet, and go into India to Dharamsala, where the Dalai Lama lives. And this monk said his greatest fear was that they would bring him so low that he hated them. That's amazing. That's on the level of Christ saying, "Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do." So the basic point of all this is that maybe we're not helpless victims at the mercy of what seems to be a madhouse filled with sociopaths and psychopaths and people who are just simply deluded and ignorant. Maybe we do have agency here, and it's not as obvious as we might think. So that's the thought for right now.